I've been away from this thing for a while. Sorry about that. I was actually doing intense research on the impact of gaming on our culture. And by that I mean I was spending the holidays with relatives, most of whom fully expect the hobby to destroy the very foundations of civilization. Which is fine, really. The foundations of civilization are pretty much made out of shit-riddled suck. Meanwhile, C-SPAN just stuck all their archives online, which probably isn't an earth-fuckingly awesome moment we've all been waiting for, but it does offer us a chance to look back at things like the 1993 video game violence Senate hearings, which features a whole lot of Mortal Kombat, out-of-context footage from Night Trap that maybe 10 people would have seen if it hadn't been held up as an example of everything that's wrong with the universe, and Joseph Lieberman somehow looking like he's both outraged and about to fall asleep. The guy's probably the single most boring human being you'll ever want to beat the crap out of. The whole point of the thing was to provide an excuse for a bunch of politicians to scream to high hell about what video games might be teaching our kids. If you're as unlucky as me, you've probably heard an awful damn lot about that. Like how to kill everyone, from classmates to hookers, with every possible weapon, from a pointy rock up to tactical nuclear weapons. Which would be more intimidating if these games also weren't somehow apparently responsible for turning kids into grunting piles of Crisco wrapped in old sweatpants. You can't have it both ways. Hell, back in the 80s, my parents told me that games were part of a government plot to turn kids into relentless, remorseless, highly trained killing machines. Which is very easy to believe, given that locking, loading, and firing an M16 is almost exactly the same as pushing the control key. Which is hilarious right up until they draft you into the cockpit of an F-22 Raptor and you discover that it controls just like Star Fox. True story. The fact is, the most you can usually hope to hear about games teaching anything good or useful is the backhanded concession that they might help with hand-eye coordination. Then again, back in grade school they made me do the sports, and I scored a lot of touchdowns. If a touchdown is that thing that happens when you accidentally hit another kid with a baseball and he dies from it. Anyway, to get to the damn point, if we throw away violence, fat assery, and coordination, I could still think of at least a half dozen things video games might actually have something to do with. Shit like, I don't know, math. Please, let your kids play with the freaking Pokemans. If you could see the complex hypermathematics going on inside their head when they decide to call back their Pikachu and attack with a bagel-shaped cow or whatever, that shit'll leave you gibbering in a corner until your head pops like a zit and the elder things drag you back to the unspeakable, squelching beyondhood. Screw basic arithmetic. These are little kids learning the subtle nuances of probability and statistics without even the faintest glimmering of realization that this shit is actually educational. Or how about resource management? Any given video game is going to confront you with countless resource management decisions. You're going to be weighing risk and reward ratios. Risk and reward ratios. Man, say that 10 times fast after a couple drinks. Anyway, do I have enough Vespine gas for a Dark Templar rush, or should I use it to build a fleet beacon? Do I buy an iron sword now, or save the cash toward one made out of mithril or crustite or whatever the hell? Then again, I'm still not saving for my retirement, so either this one doesn't work or I'm just an idiot with no impulse control. Or how about spatial relations? Memorizing street layouts and figuring out which direction I'm walking in comes pretty naturally. I'm going to blame that on Legend of Zelda and Grand Theft Auto. If you play a lot of video games, you have to get good at mapping things in your head, memorizing landmarks, and just generally orienting yourself. That's a lot more than I gained from Boy Scouts anyway. Which mostly taught me how to get bored making a bird feeder before getting kicked out for not having proper respect for power tools. And how about economics? The other day I was watching a coworker buy up junk on World of Warcraft's auction house, relisting it elsewhere in the world at a higher price. Another was explaining how you should hang on to certain bits of loot and pawn them later during peak hours. These guys had never heard the word arbitrage in their lives, but they already knew the definition. Hell, I got to completely blow through all my early economics courses purely because I played too much Mule when I was 8. The moral here is play more video games and you'll have more time to fuck off in college. The most important thing I think we can learn from these things, though, is goal setting. Back when I was a corporate mook, I don't know how many Franklin Covey seminars I had to sit through, but faux leather organizers and insipid homilies about mice and cheese, it never did me a damn bit of good in terms of getting my shit together. In terms of setting goals and managing time, there's a lot more to be gained from, say, The Sims. What's my character's ambition? Well, the last time I played, it was to make out with as many people as possible before drowning in a swimming pool. Not a very good ambition, but it was an ambition nonetheless, and I'd created it for myself. The ability to commit yourself to a goal while planning the steps to get there seems better reinforced by a good game than some droning lecture. Oh, speaking of, I should probably shut up soon. Anyway, despite all efforts, nobody's managed to find so much as a statistical correlation between video game playing and a propensity toward violence, much less a causal relationship. Meanwhile, there are a mighty shitload of other things video games might be teaching us, which aren't explored all that often in an official study, mostly on account of the fact that self-serving politicians can't use that to scare the crap out of elderly voters. Video games may not make me want to kill, but that kind of singing, dancing bullshit does. Nothing I've said here has any kind of scientific validity whatsoever, which makes it every bit as valid as the proposition that video games turn us into sociopaths. You're just never going to catch a politician grabbing onto an idea that fails to scare the shit out of people.